My name is Erin Bevel, and I'm a member of the Board of Directors. I want to welcome you to the 2021 D-Town Farm Harvest Festival. This year, we commemorate the founding 15 years ago of what we now call the Detroit Black Community Food Sovereignty Network, still DBCFSN for short. Food sovereignty has always been at the center of our work, and this name change reflects our continued commitment to Black self-determining foodways, farms, and futures. We're so excited to gather with you virtually as we celebrate our triumphs, remember our challenges, and honor our collective ancestors. The 2021 D-Town Farm Harvest Festival is dedicated to the memory and legacy of Baba Al Seevers. Baba Al is a DBCFSN founding member and previous DBCFSN board president. Baba Al completed his last term on the DBCFSN board when he joined the Ancestors on Wednesday, June 2nd. Thank you, Baba Al. This is for you. Baba Al was one of the many founders who gathered in community 15 years ago in 2006, a community of self-determined visionaries whose journey took them from a quarter-acre plot to a 7-acre urban farm, from the Ujamaa Buying Club to the Detroit People's Food Co-op, and from food security to food sovereignty. We want to spend this time especially thanking all of the founding community members who paved the way for us and invaluably enriched the city of Detroit. We also want to thank the host of DBCFSN members, staff, employees, sustaining members, financial supporters, farm volunteers, food warriors, and the wider DBCFSN family. We appreciate all of you and the vast contributions that you too have made to this journey. Don't forget to join our ranks if you haven't already at dbcfsn.org. Donations, memberships, and sustainers are essential to our continued success and our financial stability. A special thank you to our collective mama, Mama Hanifa Ajuban, a DBCFSN founding member and the DBCFSN Education and Outreach Coordinator. Mama Hanifa tirelessly leads our Food Warriors Youth Development Program. Please help me in welcoming her as she will lead us as we pour libations. Ashe and welcome.
Whenever African people come together in community for celebration, we remember the ancestors who paved a way for us. We begin by giving gratitude to the Creator for the grace of a new day. We acknowledge our ancestors upon whose shoulders we stand. We acknowledge their love, their sacrifice, and their commitment to making a way out of no way, and thus providing us with a foundation upon which we continue to build our self-determining future. We pour libations to the first mother, whom Africans call Dink Nesh, which means the marvelous one, who through her mitochondrial DNA is the progenitor of all humankind. To Dink Nesh, we say, Ashe. We remember those Africans, the millions of unknown and unnamed ancestors who were among the first to domesticate the animal and cultivate the crop. To those unknown and unnamed ancestors, we say, Ashe. We remember those Africans who through their thoughtful observations and study were able to discern the plants that could heal from those that would do harm. And to those ancestors, we say, Ashe. To the builders of the pyramids, those architects of civilization who pondered the universe and from those ruminations gave to the world the gifts of math, science, logic, writing, music, art, and the list goes on and on and on. To Imhotep, the world's first recorded multi-genius, we say, Ashe. To Nzinga, the warrior queen, we say, Ashe. We remember the Maroons, those extraordinary freedom fighters who built self-reliant communities in the swamps and the forests, the hinterlands of the Americas, in the mountains of Jamaica, in Suriname and Guyana and Brazil, Zumbi of Palmares, Grandi Nani and Cujo of Jamaica. To them we say, Ashe. We remember Mother Moses, Harriet Tubman, whose extensive knowledge of plants were indispensable in her ability to free hundreds of enslaved African men, women, and children. To Mother Moses, Harriet Tubman, we say, Ashe. We remember Dr. George Washington Carver, our patron saint of agriculture. Ashe. We remember Medgar Evers and Dr. Martin Luther King, Ella Baker, Rosa Parks, Septima Clark, Daisy Bates, and Fannie Lou Hamer. To them we say, Ashe. To the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who gave us the red, the black, and the green to remind us that we are one African people. To the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, we say, Ashe. We remember the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who taught us how to eat to live. To the Honorable Jeramogi Abebe Ajiman, whose vision of Beulah Land is now a reality with 40,000 acres of farmland in Abbeville, South Carolina. To Jeramogi Abebe Ajiman, we say, Ashe. And to our own, those who have been instrumental in this celebration of the Detroit Black Community Food Security Network's 15th anniversary, to those who were there in the beginning, charting the path of food sovereignty here in the city of Detroit, Baba Kalindi Iyi and Mama Jendai, to Baba Al Seevers, to Mama Charity Hicks, to Baba Kadiri Senefera, to Mama Jackie Hunt, to you we say, Ashe. And to those unborn who we know in our African traditions are those ancestors yet to come, to those unborn children who will one day speak our names when we ourselves become ancestors. To those yet unborn, to those yet born, we say, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe-o.
Jambo, everyone. My name is Sawande Keita, and I'm here from the Omawale Culture Society.
My name is Imani Ma Ankmerame.
And we are here to play Kasa. Kasa is a harvest rhythm from Guinea that celebrates the farmer. Y'all ready to hear it? Here we go.
Well, Baba Al was a long-term board president, you know, shout out for that. So he put in a lot of years service on the board of directors.
Our children went to school together. We go back a very long way. And I was able to kind of talk him into joining the Sunday crew at D-Town Farm. You know, just bringing him along from one institution. Our children went to school together. We worked on the parents' organization very hard at Enseroma together. And so I just kind of wanted to bring him along. Actually, him and his wife, Mama Janet. I wanted to bring them both along. I got her in at the market, and I got Baba Al in at the farm. And so he joined the Sunday crew, which at the time I was the crew leader, and we worked at D-Town Farm. Particularly memorable was one, he was our firekeeper. So whenever we needed to burn, to have ash at the farm, we would call him. He would burn for us.
You know, we used to volunteer at the farm throughout the winter, and Forgotten Harvest would drop produce as we was developing our compost pile, where Baba Kadiri was the compost manager for a few years before he became the farm manager. But as we were developing, one time they dropped out like pallets, truckloads of cucumbers. And Mama Ava might have told you about the story.
During one winter, because the Sunday crew was just very, very active, we didn't stop working at the end of the season. We worked into the winter, whatever needed to be done. So this one particular winter, I remember, we had our major compost operation, and Kadiri, who was our compost manager at the time, we got a delivery of huge containers of cucumbers.
We had cucumbers by the thousands, and we had to bring in propane heaters. I supplied them from my mom's house, put them in the hoop house, because all of the cucumbers were in plastic, were wrapped in plastic, and the plastic will not compost. So we had to individually, take all of those cucumbers out of those wrappers to get them processed for the compost pile.
So we couldn't do a thing with them until they were all unwrapped. So we had the Cucumber Olympics.
The Cucumber Olympics. That was the name we gave for it.
So the Sunday crew, we would come, and it was absolute snow on the ground, and K Mensa, he was on the Sunday crew. He was the farm manager. He would bring space heaters, kerosene space heaters, and I would bring soup for the Sunday crew, and we were unwrapping cucumbers, and Baba Al had a big wheelbarrow. He would take them out and dump them on the compost pile, and it was just a number of Sundays where we did that. It was just a wonderful thing. As a matter of fact, there's a really iconic picture of Baba Al with that wheelbarrow of cucumbers that winter during the Cucumber Olympics.
Baba Al, I knew Baba Al not only through DBCFSN, but through the Baba's Club at Enseroma Institute. And he just, he was always a very passionate brother. He was committed to improving black folks in our situation and whatever we did at the farm and the school. I just remember him as being a person of very high character, very straightforward. Baba would give you a piece of his mind in a minute, but it was always well-intentioned, with love, and it was always about improving our lives, making us better.
Hotep family, I'm going to talk to you about Baba Al, my life partner in love for 35 years. We met at a softball game and immediately had a spark. We lost touch for a while. Then when we reunited and married 4 years later, we made a serious commitment to be there for each other. We had been through this before, so no matter what. He could be opinionated, yet he remained open to new ideas. He could be strict and stubborn, but he also made me laugh out loud. He made massive change in his behavior for himself and for his family. Being a father brought him the most joy. He took up jewelry making and adorned many of the Africans in our village, and he always said that he had the best models for his artwork. Baba Al enjoyed working on the Sunday crew at D-Town Farm. When we began the farm, we would go to individual homes and help people start growing food in their backyards. And from that, D-Town Farm was born. Baba Al liked working in the dirt and seeing things grow. It reminded him of his family's summer treks to mid-Michigan, where he still has family. Some of them lived on working farms, and he remembered his uncle would get up at 4 a.m. to do the farm work, finishing just in time to pick up his lunch and work afternoons at the Chevrolet plant. His father would take him hunting and fishing as a young boy, and he told me that the time with his father were some of his most cherished memories. They slept in the car and caught their own food. When we felt like enjoying nature, our whole family had a spot at Kensington Park. We would fish and enjoy the view and eat the sandwiches, peanut butter and jelly that we made and brought with us. If it was fall, we would enjoy the leaves changing on the trees. Baba Al considered himself an outdoorsman that lived in the city. While at Kensington, we would visit their working farm, and Baba Al knew all the names of the farm implements that were spread all over the farm. You will have to drive by our house in the early spring to see his home handiwork. You'll see the many beautiful tulips that he planted more than 20 years ago that still bloom every year. Baba Al prided himself on being consistent. He drove to our son's homecoming in Washington, D.C. from high school and all 4 years at Howard. And Yusef rode shotgun every time. He went with Yusef for every single dance performance, no matter where it was. He loved listening to the drummers. He was known to take a day off to make sure he was where he was supposed to be with his children. One of the things I will miss the most is that he consistently and without fail called me whenever he was on his way home to see if I needed anything. Every time. Our 3 children, our 6 grandchildren, and our 5 great-grandsons will always honor his memory. They can go forward in this world knowing what it's like to be loved. That's the greatest gift of all. Rest in power, my love, until we meet again. Mama Nephthys.
Esteemed ancestors. I look at Mama Doris, which was Alba's mother. She was with us from the very beginning, and she was very instrumental in running the farmers markets and stuff like that. And she was one of the original boosters of the organization. Anybody she found, she talked about D-Town Farm and the organization, so, and she was like my second mother, I have my own biological mother, but she was my mother, and it was, when she made her transition, it was quite a letdown for all of us, Yeah. One of our esteemed ancestors, founding members, Mama Jackie Hunt. She was the first co-farm manager, and as I said before, one of the founding members. But what was so important to me about Mama Jackie Well, she had an indigenous wisdom of the soil. She had an indigenous wisdom of the soil, the land, the crops, the seasons, the water patterns, and the weather patterns. So she gave us a lot of wisdom and knowledge and points about where to plant crops, what's going to happen next, what's in the tree line, how's the tree line going to affect the farm, the water patterns and everything. So she was, like I said, she was our first co-farm manager along with Mama Marilyn Neferah Barber. So I just want to give a shout out to Mama Jackie Hunt because she was very instrumental in, the knowledge that was brought to the farming project.
Also about Jackie Hunt, I was so grateful to her. She brought in to the farm two really important pieces of the farm that's actually still there right now. One is that wooden tool shed. She got, I don't know where she found it or how she was able to get it moved to the farm, but she got that tool shed for us. And she was just a wonderful, wonderful soul. And she was also excellent at the market. I just appreciate her so much. And so I just wanted to shout out to Jackie for that because it's an iconic piece of the farm, and I really appreciate her.
Right. Sister Charity, I consider her one of our founding original resident geniuses. She was so talented, had a prodigious memory, can hold a conversation about anything, from the universe to a microcosm, and she was a water warrior. All of the water shutoffs in the city of Detroit, she was knee deep into fighting the city and the powers that be to stop shutting off waters to people in this city because of non-payment, and it's really heartening or disheartening that this COVID pandemic made the city do what we have been fighting for years, turn people's waters back on. But she was tragically killed in New York, going to the United Nations, talking about the water crisis in Detroit. And that was a very, very tragic occurrence, But she was one of the founding members, and she was a warrior, had so many skills, such an intellect, We used to talk about her upbringing on the East Side, and she was a special person, very special, Mama Charity.
Charity was such an unbelievable genius. She had a photographic memory, I think. She could remember, she had encyclopedic knowledge. You could ask her almost anything, and she knew something about almost everything. And she was such a giving person, and such a brave soul, and such a warrior spirit. I just appreciated her so much. And of course, we have that iconic banner of Charity expressing wage love, and it just resonates with me today.
Peace, good people. My name is Jami Tata. I'm a member of the Detroit Black Community Food Security Network. So I wish y'all would have started recording earlier, because me and Baba Kadiri were always kicking about sound. So when I'm looking at these sound microphones, like, we would just be like, yo, what's that? Like, okay, what they using? Like, how much was that? Can we get that? Can we get access to that? So, he was a spitter. Well, he wasn't just a spitter. He was just, really somebody that soaked up knowledge. So, we would kick it and talk about tech, just just based off of like what software you're using. Like we had home recording studios in a time where technology wasn't that prevalent as it is today to have access to at a low cost. And also at a time where your phone couldn't do everything. Like they plugged in the phones right now. Like that's just like, just to have that back then. It's crazy just to think about the conversations we would have. I think it's real dope to even think about, just being in his home studio, because he didn't let everybody in. He really prideful brother, and really when he saw you as a brother, he held you dear. And I think, one of the things that when I say brother, as black men, we see ourselves as brothers, but like for me and him, it was just on a different level, because we would always see each other at everything. Like we would, he grew food, I grew food. Like, he, spitting. I dabbled in poetry, and I was teaching young people MCing based off of the educational philosophy of rhyme and rhythm. So I guess I was a spitter too. So we connected on that. On Food Justice Fridays, it was sort of an open mic space with like a whole kitchen element at the Commons in Midtown. We would kick it and see each other there, and just be there. And then I was working at Keep Growing Detroit. He's working at DBCFSN, and I'm talking about the philosophy of end waste and how we need to make sure that we have appropriate knowledge around not wasting food, and having an opportunity to do something with the waste that helps and not harms the environment. He was like, "Come see my mountain." I'm like, "What? This boy have mountains of compost?" And I was like, "Yo, he's doing the stuff that I'm just like talking about." And he just, and then when he got into like just the practicality and just the real life of the compost life, it was just a pleasure to see him and his mind work. There were many people who, like me, could talk philosophy. He could talk real life about like, nah, this is happening at the farm like today, yesterday, and before, because I've been here doing that. And he would talk to me about everything from how chicken feed and chicken waste goes a long way into making the compost better, to help the soil better. I'm just like, when I smell that at first, it's not the most pleasant smell. Bro, like, get over that, man. It's going into that food. I'm just like, you right. So, he was like one of the first people that really kind of took me on a journey of, large-scale composting and, a large-scale composting operation at D-Town. And just to see how he worked and how he maneuvered and how he had pride for his job of end waste, when folks just throw away and don't care about that. Like, this is his daily job that he's grinding at. He's like, going to conferences talking about, but also he's putting it in his music. He had a track called "Every Bite Counts." I think that's one of the first tracks he played for me. Just the significance of food and the significance of eating and not wasting. And it was just a joy to see how what he talked about, he lived. And that authentic spirit of that brother sticks with me, because like I said, we see each other everywhere. We were just like, okay, we need to know each other. And then when we started to know each other, it was like, oh, we like brothers. And it extends to like, even we had a second mama or a second grandmama, and Dr. Kanya Wright. She was rest in power. She was a librarian at the Redford Branch Library, and God knowing her son was like a member of the group that Kadiri was in, but they also went way back, and she helped, like, was part of his upbringing, and she was like my librarian mama, and I met her through Allied Media Projects in this media class and workshop or course they were doing. And, so we was talking media, and then we started talking books, and she started giving me books. She started inviting me to all of these things at the library. And then, Kadiri was right there because that's his mama. I was like, oh, okay, so we got the same mama, grandmama. So like we family now. Okay, we so it was just it was a joy to see how close we were connected just through divine energy.
Another, talk about Baba Kadiri. The other thing is he was a skilled rapper. So he would. I remember at the harvest festivals, he would do his performance, rapping, and
Spoken word.
Spoken word. I would always enjoy that as well. Yeah. So,
Kadiri's just moved toward being a farm manager. I think it was just a beautiful, circular journey of him, from his home to where he works, and then when he goes to sleep, like these things all involve like growing food, but then taking the food scraps and making sure that they're in a place where they can nourish the earth. And when you nourish the earth, that replenishes the soil to be able to grow food even better. So I think him being a farm manager is just an extension of him being a compost manager, being an extension of him. D-Town was like in his movement work in DBCFSN and environmental justice. Him being there was like his second home, man. I was always honored to see him at his home or his second home, and see that seeing somebody thrive in their brilliance. He was really about that life, and I think one of the things that just uplifting just growth, because he was a family man. He always spoke about his daughters, his baby. How you got to get back to the baby, you got to see the baby. And, I just saw that same nurturing energy that he put into that farm work was just an extension of him as a father. He was just a dope brother who understood growth in a way that he wanted to make sure that everything he touched grew. From his baby to the plants to the people around him. I was just always excited to hear him tell stories. And it's funny, people say they can't get a hold of me, and he at one point in time said he couldn't get a hold of me for a minute, and it was to a point where I couldn't get a hold of him, he couldn't get a hold of me, so I bought him a phone. Like, it was just like, yo, let's connect, because we got a whole bunch of stuff to do and talk about. And then that worked for like 6 months for both of us, because we busy in the mug. But it was just really great to see and always hear him talk about life, and I just wish I had more time with the brother, and all those times that we didn't connect, that we did have the chance to. But I think some of his music, I think he released some singles, including like Everybody Counts, and some things that are up online. I think also too, he was a media maker. He was both audio and music producer, but also he was a filmmaker. Like these two brothers I'm seeing, like film me. This would be him right now. See, this me. So he has some dope. Short films. One on I forget the name of it, but he got a food justice flick that includes the journey of Freedom in the food movement. And then he got another piece that's out, and then there's a short film or documentary movie about him that's out. I got access to the producer of that film to show it here and there. So definitely there's some things that are up. That piece is on Venmo about his life, his early, his mid part of his life. And I say that because there's a part of his life that included the wonderful Tracy, his fiance, that's not featured in that documentary. And just shout out to Tracy and just the whole family that supported Kadiri throughout his life, his illness, and keeping him alive after this his transition to being an ancestor. I think that's the part where I just wish not that I even, knew more, that I just was present more to even, for him to lean on me. But just honored to know that Tracy Ricks, somebody I knew as an artist and as a friend, that was his partner, and I'm like, she was good people. I'm like, okay, just to know that he was in good hands was a blessing to know. I think one of the things to lift up too, just honored that the family allowed me to do something in his honor as well. Been working on creating a apprenticeship, compost apprenticeship called the Kadiri Senefara compost apprenticeship in his honor. Started the process about 2 or 3 years ago. When he passed, I asked the family like that day. So, I think next year will be the official start of that actual apprenticeship. So I'm excited to get young people to follow in the footsteps of food justice, music making, honoring the earth, and the food that from its start to its end point, to its rebirth cycle, because, Kadiri never left. He lives on, just like, every bite of food. One big impact that Kadiri Senefara left on me is stay true to yourself. And for me, that's, as a father, I think his, we went to the studio to be filmed for TV for the first time. We were about to do interviews for Street Beat. And one of the things he was like, yo, why don't you just like, what would you take your hat off for? You should rock your hat like you normally do. We want to see you on screen. I'm just like, nah. And then I was just like, this brother was right. Like, why take my hat off? Why wasn't I being authentic to myself? Like, wherever I am, the black me should be lifted up at all times, and the black Detroit me should be lifted up at all times. And, I think, just being able to consistently know that I'm a role model inside my house, outside my house as a black man to other black men and black young black women and just black people in general in the spectrum of, being out here representing, the best of me. I think that is what, I want to lift up at all times in fatherhood. And, I think he is always strived to be the best version of himself as a father. So, that growth story, that growth energy, that grower being that he represented as a compost manager, as a farmer at D-Town, but as a father, left the most impact on me.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, dear sister. We're going to wrap this up because these winds start picking up right about now, and literally in another 15 to 20 minutes, everything's going to be blowing all over the place. So a brother that I highly respect, and we have worked together many, many years. See what I mean? And he's worked with Kalini for many years. Will now eulogize him. I'd like to bring forth Baba Malik Yakini, a Detroit legend.
Peace, family. How's everyone doing? I want to first give greetings to the EE family. Peace, y'all. And tell you that I'm humbled and thankful to be asked to do this eulogy for my brother. So I usually don't read things when I talk, but I'm going to read this today so I can be precise and try to stay within the time frame. I knew Kalini for 44 years. I first met him in 1975. He was my brother, my friend, my comrade, my martial arts teacher, and a co-institution builder. And in the summer of 1989, he was my road dog. Y'all know that term, road dog? That summer, Kalini and I drove from Detroit to the East Coast 7 times. I was vending at festivals in New York, in Baltimore, in Philly, and DC, and Kalini was doing his Kalini thing. We get to a city, I drop him off, and then I see him when it was time to go. Interestingly, during those trips, we were on the highway a lot, and it seemed like whenever I got behind the wheel, the police would pull me over. But whenever Kalini got behind the wheel with no driver's license, he was never pulled over. So clearly, Kalini had some juju that I didn't have. Kalini was also the co-founder of Ancestor Institute, the African-centered school that I led for 22 years. And in fact, in 1989, it was Kalini's idea to start the school. So let me just, for those who didn't know that, let me set the historical record straight. It was Kalini's idea to start what became Ancestor Institute. In fact, we operated for the first year of the school in a room in the Timerian Martial Arts Institute on Woodward and Davison. He remained associated with the school until it closed in 2013. Kalini now joins other brothers in our close circle, including Kamal Ajara and Kwame Kenyatta. He's joining them in the ancestral realm. The three of us kind of had an unspoken strategy that when we got involved with the community struggle, Kwame would lead the community organizing, I would lead the communications, and Kamal and Kalini would handle security. I'm certain that in the ancestral realm, they are all still working on our behalf. Kalini represented us as a community. Kalini was bigger than an individual. In fact, the reality is that he both helped to shape this community in Detroit, and he was shaped by that community. Kalini was a giant and a hero. Kalini was a giant and a hero. I was deeply shaken when I heard of Kalini's passing. For many of us, Kalini was the strongest warrior in the village. And we saw him as being invincible. And so with COVID taking him out, it really spoke to the vulnerability of all of us. So I want to talk a bit about Kalini's significance. First, as we all know, he embodied the warrior spirit. He helped to revive and reveal ancient African fighting systems, and with other African fighting masters, established, without a doubt, the African origin of martial arts. You know, before that, people talk about martial arts began in Japan and Korea and China and what have you, but we have all kind of documented evidence that it actually began in Northeast Africa. I didn't witness it, but Kalini told me about the time that 7 police officers tried to arrest him on Woodward Avenue. Bad idea. And they got handled. Kalini had the warrior spirit. But much of what Kalini did was not in the public eye. He was often called when unprincipled behavior in our community occurred. And y'all know, even though, we wear African clothes and galas and lapas, still some of us behave in unprincipled ways. And sometimes we need our own internal mechanisms to check that. And so Kalini was often called for that. I can tell you that on one occasion, there was nobody that I would rather be with when a mama in the community whose daughter had been missing identified a house where she thought her daughter was, and Kalini and I staked out that house one night and approached the door with the intention of retrieving this young sister. Now, as it turned out, nobody was in the house, but I can tell you we didn't know what was going to happen on the other side of that door, and there was absolutely nobody I would have rather have been with that night than Kalini E.
hope that you've enjoyed this opportunity to join with us virtually and celebrate both the rich history and the bright future of the Detroit Black Community Food Sovereignty Network. Again, a big thanks to all of the founding community members. DBCFSN is a testament to the seed you planted 15 years ago, and may we continue to tend to the bounty that you started. We would love to keep in touch with as many of you as possible, and we know that there are members here in Detroit and elsewhere. There are ways, of course, on the website, dbcfsn.org, that you can join, that you can donate, that you can become a sustaining member so that you can ensure that the organization has the financial stability necessary to continue this important work. You can also connect with us on social media. We have a robust and large Facebook group that we'd love for you to join. We're also on Twitter and Instagram, as well as YouTube. We have a series of videos on YouTube about gardening at home and how to start your own garden. We would love to support your own efforts to food sovereignty in your own life. Thank you for joining us, and we again are honored to have hosted the 2021 D-Town Farm Harvest Festival. Thank you.